Well, this may surprise some people, maybe not, but it's probably a good indication as to why um, the United States hasn't really won after North Korea. There's probably a few things too besides this I'm going to present here. It's a little bit older information, but not well known. Not well known. Well, first off, North Korea probably does not have the capability of attacking the United States with nuclear weapons or a threat to anybody because I think it's a lot more talk. And actually, what's going on right now with the threat from North Korea and all its stuff it's saying right now is probably due to maybe they have some inside information that Iran is going to be attacked fairly soon. And then they think that would be the best time to move on South Korea. But I want to point something out. This is a major reason, and I'm sure, the powers that are in control also realize this. But actually, this was a survey done about 5 years ago. It was a poll. It said, I've asked the first-year Army cadets in South Korea. In other words, people are going to be, officer training school there, basically, and in the Army. It said that 34% of them called the United States of America the main enemy of South Korea. And 33, almost the same amount, 33%, considered North Korea the main enemy of South Korea. So basically, they consider the United States, and it says some people say it's because of the education system. Basically, I don't know, maybe it's taught in school there's the evils of capitalism and the U.S. did this. Some of that stuff is true, but then again, you got to look at it in different ways too. I kind of look at all angles and all the good theories out there because I realize, the top guys in the United States ain't a bunch of angels. But then on top of that, the top guys in a lot of other places aren't a bunch of angels either. So, but it's interesting that the sentiment in South Korea is pretty much anti-American. So if there was if the United States actually did a military action against North Korea, you'd probably even have more anti-American sentiment in South Korea. And how would that work out? I mean, why do that? Why even bother? So that's why they probably don't bother with it. Trying to remove nuclear weapons from North Korea or whatever. Because actually North Korea's Air Force is a bunch of MiG-21s that are falling apart. I mean, they might be able to deliver a nuke someplace, but it probably gets shot right out of the sky or electronically jammed or turned around by U.S. technology and pointed right back at them or some crap. You know what I mean? Just because they got the weapon don't mean they can use it. But it said that it's basically equal between the United States and North Korea as the main enemy. This is coming from first-year cadets that are actually studying to be officers in the Korean Army, not just average people. And also, it noted that, and this is coming from the Korean Times, 75% of the people drafted, which is, everybody's drafted in military in Korea, they had some type of anti-American feelings. Right. So, the thing is, if, America was to, say, we got to stop North Korea from having nuclear weapons and go in there and invade them, I mean, basically, you'd have two enemies on your hand. You would have the South Koreans would be against the Americans, so why even bother? Why even bother? So, if North Korea blows up South Korea, then I guess the United States will do something about it. But then there'd be a lot more anti-North Korean sentiment in South Korea then, for sure. But if the United States initiated something, forget it. I mean, it would just backfire. The whole thing would just backfire. So you got to let them have their way and see how it works out. So, but basically, he says it was blamed mostly on the education system because I guess the education system probably says that the United States had absolutely no part in getting South Korea its economic might right now. Probably that's what it says. I mean, I'd imagine a lot of times there's a lot of nationalism in the education system, and it's like, the United States, they're just some shitheads we sell stuff to. That's all they are. We built our own enterprises all the way, but it had a lot to do with American companies going in there and being partners with the South Koreans. That's why it worked. It wasn't like it wasn't all America doing it. It wasn't all South Korea even doing it. It was the fact that they were partners. So that partnership actually worked out very well. But Another interesting tidbit is 36% of all the new recruits. This is like older survey, but hey, it's probably it's probably even worse now. 36% of new recruits believed that liberal democracy was superior to communism, but basically a lot of people are still believing that communism, more people are actually believing that communism is actually better. So, also 31% of South Koreans called the war, the Korean War, not an invasion by the North, but most people didn't consider it that way. So it's like, there's actually a lot of support for communism in South Korea, and it says 65% said if a war were to break out between North Korea and the United States, they would help North Korea. So ergo, that is why the United States would not invade North Korea. Why bother? Why bother, man? You just have a bigger mess. More than likely, if North Korea would not actually, if they're going to use military strike or military nukes or whatever the hell it was, they wouldn't bother going after the United States because it would be death to them, big time. They would go after South Korea. So I guess they'd have to just let them go after South Korea, and then I guess the polls would change then for sure, But anyway, a lot of people don't believe North Korea has all the weapons they say they have. They probably don't. They might have a nuclear weapon here or there or some kind of garbage, but then again, they're in very bad shape. Their Air Force is a good indication because they got planes MiG-21s from the early 60s. Basically they're falling apart. So think about, how the hell would they actually, maybe they have one missile that can actually supposedly reach someplace far out with a nuclear weapon, but it's not a major threat. I guess you would think, a little common sense, and I know this might be an unpopular opinion, but, Iran is way more advanced militarily than North Korea by far in every single respect. So, that might have something to do with why the Illuminati are more concerned about that than North Korea, because actually North Korea and Iran both are on the list against the New World Order. They're uncooperative and stuff. So, but I'd imagine that, if you're just looking at it from a plain logical stance without actually getting political and whose side you're on and all this kind of stuff, Iran is far more militarily superior than North Korea in many ways, especially technological. And your Air Force is much better. Their missiles are better. I think they probably copied a couple drones already, for all I know, because one of them got taken down. But I should also point out about that. Actually, I found out from somebody I know that's got some, I don't know. He likes to brag that he actually is somewhat connected to some stuff. But he said that drone that was actually landed in Iran was not taken down by Iran. It was taken down by China. And if you start thinking about it, it's pretty plausible, right? China would not want to directly say we took down one of your drones, but they would, they could do it, but then, do it in Iranian territory. You know what I mean? So that's pretty plausible to me. But it looks like if there was ever a conflict between the United States and North Korea, and it just started between the United States and North Korea, most of South Korea, or a good part of South Korea, would side with North Korea. That's what it looks like. It was basically, a lot of people believe the United States is about as bad an enemy as North Korea. So, so that's one reason you're not going to see anything about the United States doing nothing about North Korea, period. And actually, to be quite honest, I don't think North Korea has anywhere near the capabilities they're talking up. But they've been talking up a lot of this stuff recently, and it just goes back. They were talking up a lot of crap back when before Saddam Hussein got invaded, right? They might know from other circles that something's coming up with Iran pretty soon. Takes forever. They've been talking about it for years, but the fact that they're talking up more garbage right now, that would probably, it makes more sense, because that would be the time for them to do any kind of military move when the United States was more preoccupied with Iran. But I just want to point out, actually, there's a major anti-American sentiment in South Korea, even amongst in the military. Very nationalistic and stuff. And, you know, communism actually has a lot of strong support in South Korea, you know, in ideology. But, hey, you know, I guess in ideology, communism has a nice appeal. But, you know, in reality, it's a bunch of bureaucrats screwing you over, you know. That's what the hell it is. Communists don't really do shit. They just take the money. It's almost like the same damn thing the capitalists do. It's just another label. You know, paper pushing bureaucrats are a bunch of garbage. That's what it comes down to. So, you know, but South Korea definitely has it like 100 times better at least than North Korea. So, I hope some people figure that out, because and why that is. Part of it is it's not due to the United States solely, obviously, but it's partly due to the partnership between South Korea and the United States. So, but I just want to point out why the United States would not actually go after North Korea. Politically, it would be stupid, because you just make a bunch of enemies. Even if you're like totally justified or some crap, you know, you got to let North Korea do something really rotten first. Then you can do it. That's what it's going to be, because otherwise, everybody in the world is going to be against you. That's how it works.